Alright guys, before I get into the main video, this isn't a complete winterization of a trailer car or something along those nature. Because mine is a street car slash hot rod, so it never gets completely winterized. But the things I'm going to talk about is mainly going to be on the nitrous enrichment side, but a lot of those same techniques can play over to the carburetor side if you just have a carburetor and your nitrous and everything's all on the same side. But all those checks that goes on over here, you can do the exact same checks over here. But you know, the only difference is you want to pull the bowls off, make sure everything looks good in there. But just remember what I'm doing, you can do the exact same thing to the carburetor side if you don't have nitrous. So in a DC metropolitan area, we still have our breaks of good weather during the winter. So I don't ever completely winterize my vehicle because I still like to drive it. So with that said, enjoy the video. YouTubers, and welcome back. And it's the end of the year. So it's about time to do that end of the year maintenance on Mr. Sparkles right there. So I figured I would show you guys what I do at the end of the year of this guy, just to check everything out to make sure it looks okay. So that's what we're doing today. So one of the first things I do is check out the gas that's been sitting in there since this time from last year. All I've done is top it off. So let's check that out, which is right here, and that is the nitrous enrichment. Now remember guys, what I do is just what I do. I'm not saying my way is the best way. I'm not saying my way is the only way, but this is how I do it. And honestly, I haven't checked out my system in a long time as far as fuel filters and everything going on with the lines. I usually just drain the nitrous enrichment tank and then put some new fuel in it and run that through next year because I don't spray that much nitrous, so that fuel sits in there for a long time. So it's probably good that I check out all the filters on the entire system just to see what's going on. And I'm also not really going to flow the nitrous solenoid. I'm just going to flow some fuel through it. And I also have some other stuff I'm going to feed through the system just to lubricate everything and make sure it's all nice and clean. Let me show you guys what I have on that right there. All right, so first off, this is the E85 stuff, and that mixes with a regular gasoline with ethanol in there to keep it from corroding up. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that it's pretty close to the stable fuel. It probably has a couple more additives to keep moisture out. But I'm going to run this because I bought all this for E85, and I'm not running E85 now. So I'm going to run this in the nitrous enrichment tank just to help lubricate everything. This is basically, from what I know, it's a petroleum product, and it helps keep all those moving parts nice and lubricated so they don't freeze up from contamination of water and all that good stuff. This is a good, really good, I like this stuff more than seafoam. It's a solvent. It just helps get in there and break up all the debris that might have stuck to the side of your lines, your pump that might have been sitting in there, and your fuel filter, and gets it on and out. And this stuff, I like it better than seafoam because it is cheaper and I think it works just as good. So both of these guys are in the nitrous enrichment tank. I'm going to turn on the pump and let all that stuff mix in there really good. All right, so what's going on right now is it's a return system, so it's all mixing up. I want to get all that stuff in there really good and mixed before I run it out the noid into my little catch area. All right, so I have the nitrous system armed. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to flip it on. I just have this going here to a catch can. That way I can watch all the fluid come from here all the way out, all the gas that is. There we go. I'm just going to run it for a little bit. That way we get nice flow all the way through the entire system, out the solenoid, and gas going right here. That way we got the stable fuel, and we got the solvent getting in everything. I'm just going to do it a couple of times. And there we go. All right, so as far as the nitrous enrichment, that's what I do. Well, I haven't done this in a long time, but I've done it before in the past. But I use stable fuel, not the ethanol stuff. I don't think it really matters. I think they're both going to work just as well. We'll find out. And I've already done the fuel system. Didn't do the fuel system, but I replaced everything in the fuel system, from pump, filter, lines, cleaned out the regulator, using the same regulator, but I cleaned it out. Everything looked great. So we're not going to worry about the fuel system side on the carb. We're just doing the nitrous enrichment. But whatever I do here in nitrous enrichment is pretty much the exact same thing you would do on the carb side, with the exception you put stable fuel in the main tank, and then you would put the solvent in there, and you want to drive it around or start it up for a while, let it get the temp, get everything in there mixed really good, all in both bowls, and then you want to turn it off. Now, you see right here, I'm not going to just drain out the fuel and say it's good. I'm going to let that solvent and that stable fuel sit in there overnight to break apart whatever might have accumulated there throughout the season. So as of right now, I am done for today. So all that's going to sit in there until tomorrow, but until that time, I'll show you guys a couple other things you might want to do if yours is going to sit for an extended period of time. This is definitely important also. Okay, I definitely recommend this. If your motor is going to sit all winter or for an extended period of time, I recommend loosening up every single rocker on both sides, of course, so that way you don't have any load on the springs if it's going to sit for a while. What that does, if your rocker on one of these springs is down all the way and it's compressed for like 6 months, basically that spring is ruined and it's not going to have the same pressure as the other ones. It could cause a whole bunch of problems like valve float on one cylinder. You'll be chasing down issues that you might not know. So just for peace of mind, I definitely recommend that if it's going to sit for a while, loosen up every single rocker. All right, so that is it for tonight. We're going to wait till tomorrow, let all that stuff sit in the system, let it break apart anything that may have been sitting in there, and then we will continue the process tomorrow. Okay, so it's 24 hours later. Let's go ahead and run the fuel pump one more time, get everything mixed up, whatever's broken off into the filters, and whatever might be in the lines, we're going to take that out from the Noid side, might have stuck into the Noid, take it out into the 5-gallon can right there. And then we're going to proceed to drain the tank and all the stuff into the main tank, because it still has stable fuel and it still has some of that B12 in there to help break apart stuff, and it's enough 4 to 15 gallons in there. So we'll run that through the motor later on. Like I said, I'm not worried about doing all the same maintenance for the carb side away from the enrichment. It's because I just redid everything very recently, so I know it's A-okay. What's going on in there? Let me set the camera up real quick. Run some fuel through here. We'll call that good enough. Got my spark plug cap. So here's the filter right before the solenoid on the fuel side of the nitrous system. And as you can see, it looks absolutely spotless. I am not too worried at all about anything going on here. It pretty much looks like the day I put it in. So I'm not even going to pull off the plate, the nitrous plate, and check that and spray some carb cleaner through it. Because after looking at this, this gives me no reason to think that there's anything wrong with the plate. Could be clogged at all. I just doubt it. So I'll just be wasting my time pulling it off. But if you see anything in these guys right here, like any type of moisture or buildup, something that looked like it might have gotten in there and potentially clogged something up, you definitely want to pull everything off and clean it all out. But this is a good sign, so I'm not worried about that. Let's move on. All right, so this is how I empty the enrichment tank. I have on the return line, goes up here, and goes into the main tank. I don't want to waste all that fuel, because I know it's not bad. So I might as well waste it when I'm driving. And plus I got all the other stuff, the stable fuel and the B12 in there, so we can run that to the carb side also, or not just wasting stuff. Look at that. Too easy. Now what we're going to do, we're going to listen for the pump to change pitch, and then we're going to shut it off. Should happen soon. When it changes pitch, you know, all 3 gallons is gone. There you go, 3 gallons gone that fast. We'll go ahead and shut her off. All right, so we have one more filter to check, and that's this guy going to the pump. And this one's been on there for a long time, so I suspect we might find some stuff that this guy's picked up throughout the years. Check it out. So yeah, the filter right before the pump is definitely doing its job. See that stuff in there on this side? If you turn it over, absolutely nothing. So definitely good that I pulled that off, because there's definitely some stuff in there that has accumulated throughout the years, and it's caught it all. Well, all right, so everything has been buttoned back up. She's all good to go. And if you guys are going to let yours sit, like, you know, all winter, just leave the tank empty, and all that stuff that's sitting in there with the stable fuel will keep all that lubricated, so when you go and fill it back up and start next season, it should be good to go. I do have some more parts that came in for the old 400 small block Chevy that I'm building, so you guys stay tuned for that also. I'll be showing that one in my next video. All right, well, I hope that helps some of you guys out. And like I said, like, what I do isn't necessarily the best way, isn't necessarily the right way, but it's the way I do it. And it's always good to double check your filters and everything, especially with the street cars you drive a lot with nitrous and all that, because all it takes is one little piece of dirt to get into your solenoids and cause all types of problems, or corrosion to get in your lines, the messes your pump up and get the right flow and all that stuff. So it's really good just to do some type of maintenance like this every year, just to make sure when you start it up come spring, going to the track, that you know everything's been looked over and you're pretty confident that you're not going to have any issues. So with that said, don't forget to subscribe, hit that bell notifications and that like button, and until next time, peace.